when you bring up when you mention Jesus, did the crucifixion happen?
Yeah, yeah. See, now if we're going to get into some of this theological stuff, yes, definitely. There's.
And I'm
There's
saying this.
yeah. Listen, there's.
I'm saying this mostly for my community.
Okay.
I want them to understand that there are similarities, but my gosh, there are chasms of
Yes,
differences between
absolutely.
us.
Well,
Because the crucifixion, you don't view it the way that I do.
No. When the Quran answered these issues, when I told you this first, this surah called Surah Al-Ikhlas, God is one. He's absolute. He has no, he has never been begotten, nor is he begotten children. He doesn't beget, nor is he begotten, right? And there's none like unto him. That's an answer to the Trinity, okay? It talks about God having a son, and it talks about the crucifixion, and that those people in Jesus' time, they were Jews and so on, in his time, that boasted that they did kill Jesus, the son of Mary, the messenger of God, but they killed him not. It was made to appear that way to them. Of a surety, they killed another man. Okay, they crucified another man, and Jesus was raised unto God. Okay, so the Muslims believe that Jesus was taken from the earth by God's angels, protected from any harm, protected from the crucifixion, and that another was crucified in his place.
Right.
And the vast majority of scholars over the centuries have believed that it was the traitor who fell into the very trap that he set for his master, and that people believed they were crucifying Jesus, but they were crucifying the traitor instead.
Now, when you say scholars believe, you mean Muslim scholars?
Yeah, Muslim scholars who
Right.
took in all of the information from Christians, from themselves, from our traditions, believe that definitely Jesus was not crucified, that he was raised up to heaven, and that he was raised up where he's still being preserved till the last days, till he's going to Jesus will have a second coming. In Islam, of course, we believe Jesus will have a second coming. He'll come back as the Messiah. He'll come back as Jesus, son of Mary, the messenger of God. And he will dispatch, of course, we also believe in the Antichrist. And so that he will dispatch the Antichrist. It will be left to him to do that work, that he's still not done. His work is still unfinished, okay? But no, he wasn't crucified in the classical sense. It was made to appear that way to the people, both those people that wanted to kill him, wanted to crucify him, wanted to believe that he was a false prophet, okay? And that crucifixion confirmed them in their belief that he was a false prophet. If he was crucified on a tree, then he was cursed of God. That's right out of the Torah, okay? And so they were able to go to that scripture and say, we took him, crucified him, killed him, he's a curse to God because he hung on a tree.
And of course, Christians believe that curse is a badge of honor because he took the sin of mankind upon him on that tree. So we see I see that as redemptive, and you see it as didn't even happen.
Well, but I think in that sense, there was a crucifixion.
I think it, but not of him.
Not of him.
And so I think it's important for people to understand that really is a fundamental difference.
That is a huge fundamental difference between Christianity and Islam. Huge.
So why don't you ask me who I am to God and who God is to me?
Let me ask my own question.
Why don't you ask me?
I'll do you a favor. Who are you to God? Because I know you want to say this. I know you're itching to get this out.
Am I?
Yeah, I know you are. I need you to do this. Go ahead and tell us who you are to God.
Okay. I'm not his slave.
Fair enough.
I'm his friend. And he speaks to me, I promise you. He speaks to me like a friend. He comes to me, not just in Scripture, but I have a relationship with God that I believe everybody can have. That is maybe a little bit unique, but certainly not anything special. He comes to me in dreams. He has spoken to me audibly. There's a scripture that I really like where Jesus is speaking to his disciples, and he says, I no longer call you servants, but I consider you to be my friends. And friends know what friends do. I often know what you're doing, and you often know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Why? Because we're friends. And so I believe that if that is true, then he's going to tell me what he's doing. And he does. It's just how things work. So I have some supernatural experiences. You and I have talked about those over the course of the last 18 months or so. Things happen to me, and I see things often. But it's a different dynamic, and I think it's an important distinction for people to understand that rather than slavery or servanthood, from where I sit, it's possible to be the friend of God. And
Well,
when
I
you
mean,
say Muhammad,
you'll give me a chance to rebut that. I mean, to give you my rebuttal on that.
well,
whole
I
idea about being
understand,
a
but
friend of God.
but it's an important distinction to know that rather than walking under the thumb of God, you can walk with God, and it's partnering. Like, okay, let me ask you this:
Well, let's stay on that topic, though.
It is. We're on this topic. I'm not leaving it.
Okay.
Paradise, which we would call heaven, is it guaranteed to you?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So I see things completely different because of the cross. Heaven is it's not even a question to me, and I don't live my life that way to go to heaven. My goal is to bring heaven to earth.
Gotcha.
And so as I walk this way, I think a fundamental difference between myself and most Muslims would be that most Muslims would do things out of obligation, because once again, paradise is not guaranteed. So I mean, it's like whatever you did last is what's going to happen. And then there's me, who I do nothing out of obligation. It is all because the Lord comes and literally has conversation with me and asks me and says, "Do you want to be involved with this?" And my answer is always yes, always, because I'm his friend. So go ahead.
So we know you and I have a different way of viewing even your own experiences, right?
Right.
Okay, and seeing them. I respect that you believe what you believe about them, that this is what guides and drives you to do a lot of good. You do a lot of good out in the world because of it. Can a Muslim be a friend of God and so on and so forth? The first Muslim that we identify with, or told to identify with in the Scripture is Abraham. Okay, like the prophets asked, look on Abraham. Or we're told, look upon him. He was a Muslim like you, and so on and so forth. He was a believer, and he was one who submitted to God. And he was Khalil Allah. He was God's personal friend. Right. God loved him so much. Right. His obedience, his faith, his submission, his willingness to not associate anything with God and sacrifice everything for that. Okay. Made him God's friend. God said, "He is my friend." Okay.
So now, if Abraham was a Muslim, and boy, that's a can of worms we can talk about.
And Jesus was a Muslim. Moses was a Muslim.
Hold on. If that's the truth, and that's now the bar. Abraham was a friend of God, and we know that he was. Is it possible for you to be a friend of God?
That's what I'm getting to. But you're going to keep interrupting me. I know you.
Of course I'm going to interrupt you. It's what I do.
That's what you do.
Why I'm here.
All right. Now, yes, of course, when we say slave and servant and even to the level of messenger, a prophet or a messenger, you're a friend of God if you feed the poor. You're a friend of God if you clothe those that don't have clothing, if you protect the innocent, if you tell the truth, if you do good deeds, if you're honest in business. All these things make you a friend of God, to the point where if you do all your obligatory deeds and you do optional good in this world, the more and more you do, what happens is God not only becomes your friend, or you become the friend of God, but he becomes the feet you walk with and the hands you act with and the eyes you see with and the ears you hear with. Because why? You've become so close to him that everything you see, touch, feel, and do reminds you of God or is about God, okay?